I tried to quit drinking for
for
so
so
long.
long.
I think I
I
started
think I
drinking
started
maybe
drinking maybe
preteen,
preteen,
something like
something
that.
like
Drank
that.
for
Drank for
decades. I won't
decades.
tell you
I won't tell
exactly
you
how many
exactly how
decades.
many
I don't want
decades.
you
I
to
don't
know how
want you
old
to
I
know how
am
old I am
exactly, but
exactly, but
I drank for
I
a long
drank for a
time.
long time.
Most of those
Most of
years
those
were
years were
without
without
any
any
negative
negative
consequences. I
consequences.
had
I
some
had
here and there,
some
but
here and there, but
nothing,
there are
nothing too
nothing
bad.
too bad.
But
But
those last
those
few
last few
years, I really
years, I
wanted to
really
stop
wanted to
drinking. I
stop
knew it
drinking. I
was
knew
hurting
it
my
was
health.
hurting
I
my
knew
health. I
it was
knew
hurting
it
my
was hurting my
personal life,
personal
like
life, like
relationships. I had
relationships. I
legal
had legal
issues,
issues,
money issues,
money
all
issues,
that
all
stuff that
that stuff
happens
that
when,
happens when
you drink too
you drink
much.
too much,
And alcohol
and
starts to
alcohol
become a
starts to become
problem.
a problem.
So I
So
started to
I
try
started to
different
try different
things.
things.
And I think the
And I
first
think
thing
the
that I
first thing
tried
that I
doing
tried
was
doing was
moderating my
moderating my
drinking.
drinking.
I'm only going to
I'm
drink
only going to
this
drink
much.
this much.
Of
Of
course, that
course,
didn't
that
work.
didn't work.
Once I started
Once I
drinking,
started
it
drinking,
was
it was
I just kept
I
going,
just kept going,
and I would
and
keep
I
going
would keep going
for
for
all day,
all day,
sometimes more than
sometimes
that.
more than that.
And
And
so that
so
didn't
that
work.
didn't
So
work.
I was trying to
So I was
figure
trying
it
to
out. I
figure
was
it
trying
out.
to
I was
figure out
trying to figure out
what's wrong with me.
wrong with me.
There's something
There's
wrong with
something
me. I
wrong with
can't
me. I
get
can't
this.
get
I
this.
have
I
lots of
have lots of
willpower. I've done
willpower.
lots
I've
of
done
things in
lots of
my
things
life,
in my life,
successful things,
successful
and
things,
all this
and all
stuff's
this
been
stuff's
great.
been great.
But I
But
can't
I
seem
can't
to stop
seem to stop
drinking,
drinking,
and I couldn't
and I
figure
couldn't
that out.
figure that out. I just
I don't know what
I
it
don't know
was.
what it was.
You know,
You know,
I tried
I tried
I tried
I
doing all
tried
sorts
doing
of
all
different
sorts of
things.
different things.
Only I was
Only I
trying to
was
do it
trying to
alone.
do it alone.
And I
And
thought,
I thought,
I've done all these
I've done
things
all
on
these
my
things on my
own. I can
own.
do this
I can
stuff
do this
alone.
stuff alone.
But
But
eventually, I
eventually,
did
I did
try something
try
else.
something
I tried
else. I
going to the
tried going to
doctor.
the doctor.
And that was a
And
few
that was
years
a few
before
years
I was
before I was
successful at
successful
stopping
at
drinking. I
stopping
went to the
drinking. I went to
doctor.
the
They
doctor. They
prescribed some
prescribed
meds
some
for
meds for
detox. They
detox.
told me to
They
go
told
to
me to go to
meetings
meetings
and
and
get alcohol
get
out of the
alcohol
house,
out of
all
the
that
house. All
stuff.
that stuff.
I didn't
I
stop
didn't
drinking.
stop
What was
drinking.
wrong
What
with
was
me? I
wrong
went
with
to
me?
the
I went to the
doctor.
doctor.
I got
I
help.
got
I
help.
wasn't
I
trying to do
wasn't
it
trying to
alone.
do it alone.
That
That
I don't know what
I
it
don't know
was.
what it was.
Eventually, I ended up. I just kept
I just
going and
kept
going
going and
and
going
trying
and
different
trying
things.
different
Quit
things.
for a little
For a
while.
little while.
Start drinking
Start drinking
again. I
again.
just
I
be.
just be.
It was very
It was very
frustrating, very
frustrating, very
exhausting,
exhausting,
and
and
it just killed my
it just killed my
self-esteem.
self-esteem.
I finally
I
ended up
finally
going to
ended up going
rehab.
to rehab.
Nobody sent me
Nobody
to
sent
rehab.
me to
I
rehab.
made the
I made
decision
the
to go to
decision to go
rehab,
to rehab,
and
and
I went,
I went,
and I got
and
sober,
I got sober,
and
and
I got all
I
these
got all these
tools to work
tools
with.
to work with.
And then I got
And
out
then
of
I got
rehab.
out of rehab.
I started
I started
drinking
drinking
when I got out
when
of
I got
rehab.
out of rehab.
Why?
Why?
There was something
There was
that was
something that
missing
was
there.
missing there.
There was one
There was
mistake
one
that
mistake
I
that
just
I just
kept on
kept
making,
on making.
and it was a
And
big
it was a
mistake,
big
and that's
mistake,
what
and that's what
me drinking. That's what we're going to
that's
talk
what we're
about
going to
today.
talk about today.
So how you doing,
So how you
Marcus?
doing, Marcus?
Doing okay. Trying to get this audio issue fixed. One of my computers took a dive and we had to rebuild it. So I'm not sure how we got rid of the echo last time from years ago. So if you guys hear an echo, we apologize for that. But yeah, for me it was very difficult because I thought that there was certain secrets or keys that would help me get and stay sober, and it seemed like nothing really worked. It seemed like no matter how hard I tried, it just was not getting there. It wasn't helping. And if you guys are getting an echo on my voice, type Marcus echo. If it's only on Terry, type Terry echo. That'll help us be able to fix it. But for me, the one thing that was detrimental to me was not being serious about my alcoholism, just kind of looking at it as like, oh, well, I just drink too much, or I can't handle my liquor, or I can stop. I just need to know how to do it. And it was detrimental because it kept me in this cycle of always drinking and never finding the solution when the solution was, in fact, right in front of me. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't talk about is what is that solution? How does it help? How can we avoid relapse for hopefully the rest of our life? How can we make a change that's going to make this affect us long term? And that was kind of the struggle for me. Terry, what was it like for you when you were trying to quit drinking and you got a bunch of advice from the internet and TV shows and everything you could think of to try to get sober, but nothing seemed to work?
Well, you know what? Most of the media was telling me. At least this is what I was hearing. Was it really telling me this? I don't know. But what I was hearing is that I had to work out this stuff away. And I could do it. I just had to stop. And I had friends tell me that why don't you just quit? Because I would, I confide in a good friend and say, just quit. And this is a person that does not have issues and dependence issues. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that for half a day. And it just wouldn't work. So that was pretty frustrating. How's my echo? Just let me know if I still have the echo since I'm talking again, and it's not on Terry. Is Terry echo? Thanks, man. Sorry, I don't know what to do. How's that? Volume all the way down. I'll turn it up. But there's many things that I did end up having to do, but really it came down to one specific thing that I had to do, that one mistake that I kept making. But I did have to get help. That was important. I had to get help to stop drinking because I had this warped mind that alcohol had changed, and my thought process was not clear. So I'd make these bad decisions and things like the moderating, and for me, moderating it just didn't work. I couldn't do that. And then, when I went to the doctor to get the detox, and then telling me to go to meetings, I went to the meetings. I didn't get involved. I just went. And I didn't do anything more than that. I just went thinking that was going to magically make me sober. There's lots of other things that I had to do that, just really I just wouldn't make that commitment. I didn't really want to quit. I've heard a lot of people and worked with a lot of people that, they talk about how alcohol stopped working for them. And that was not the case with me. I enjoyed alcohol until the very last drink. So that was a really difficult thing for me to give up, and to make that commitment to stop was, giving up alcohol for the rest of my life. What do I have to do? I have to turn it over? I have to do all this stuff? What are you talking about? I just wanted to have a better life, and I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah. And I think it's difficult because we don't want... Can you hear me?
So, one of the little things that was a mistake that I had was that I would say, I can't drink. You're going out to a bar or something, and I'm like, I can't drink at all. I can't. Instead of, I don't drink. And that's it.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting to look at, our fear of stopping drinking for the rest of our life. That's one of the big fears that we have. It's one of the difficult issues that we have, and it's something we have to come to grips with and realize is not as big as we think, right? It's not a big deal to have to quit drinking for the rest of our life, because in the long run, what is drinking really doing for us? How is it helping us? Answer, it's not. And I think once we understand that and we start to say, hey, I'm going to have alcohol off the table indefinitely. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just not going to drink anymore. I think that's when life starts to change for us, because then we have that resolve. It's no longer playing with alcohol. Maybe I'll have a little bit. Maybe one day, perhaps I'll change or whatever. It's, hey, this is what is causing the trouble. Therefore, I'm going to get it out of my life.
Yeah, totally. For me, that was the same thing. I had to completely take alcohol off the table, and what that meant to me was going all in to sobriety, making sobriety my top priority over everything. Because without the sobriety, everything else wasn't going to happen. Because what did I do when I drank? I sat there in a chair and watched terrible TV and didn't do anything. And so taking alcohol off the table and going all into a sobriety and a sobriety program, and then on top of that, starting to learn a new way to think, getting a new perspective towards life and towards alcohol, and realizing that alcohol is doing nothing for me. It doesn't help at all. I may have thought it did, like I thought it would help me get through those bad times. I've had a terrible day at work. I'm going to go get a drink and relax, or something like that, or a celebration. My team won the Super Bowl. Woohoo! Time to celebrate something. That. And I thought alcohol was the enhancer or the relaxer or that sort of thing. And it just didn't. It wasn't. It isn't. I'm able to celebrate without it. And so just taking it completely off the table, that was what was working for me, and that's what's worked so far.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key is really looking at, okay, now what? Now how do I learn to live and create a life that I don't need to drink myself away from? And for me, it was a difficult thing because, a lot of us have issues with mental issues. We have issues with stress and issues with family stuff and all kinds of things like that. And I think that in society we get so wrapped up in, hey, fix these things, right? Like, the whole modern psychology is like, okay, fix these things and then your life will be better. When what we're doing is we're dealing with things that are so obvious, right? Like sometimes it's okay, you are tired all the time. All right, well, maybe stop drinking coffee and alcohol, right? That's going to toggle it to where you will feel tired because it's going to stimulate and then unstimulate, stimulate and then suppress. Or maybe there's a vitamin lacking or whatever it is. And when we look at it in terms of alcohol, alcohol is the problem, right? Like a lot of my stuff, I thought, oh, I have all this mountain of mental stuff and family stuff and therapy stuff. I'm going to need therapy for the rest of my life. And I found out that getting alcohol off the table solved pretty much like 90% of those problems because they were made up in my mind. They were made up by me in a delusional alcohol world that alcohol created. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. I thought I was going to have to do all this work, and I really didn't. And once we realize that alcohol is in and of itself the problem, that is the one thing that is stopping us from quitting. Alcohol is what stops you from quitting alcohol because you believe that you need it. You become chemically dependent. You deal with the withdrawals and all this stuff. And it's like, well, what if I just made a resolve to stop? Because when you're detoxing or withdrawing, you can go to the doctor, detox safely, which you should do. 7 or 8 days after that, alcohol is gone from your system. Now it's a mental battle.
Yep.
That's all it is. It's gone. Now it's mental. Alcohol is out of your system. Is that to say that the effects alcohol did on your brain and your body are gone? No. But the effects of alcohol are gone. And when I was active in my alcoholism, the effects of alcohol are what was causing my problems. Right? I lived in a dream world. I thought things were the way they were. I thought people were out to get me and things were going to hurt me. And I thought victim type mindset. Oh, this always happens to me. This always does this. And I couldn't get out of it. And I didn't understand why. I had therapists. I read books. You guys could see I got some books back there. And I couldn't find the solution because no one told me, hey, the solution is alcohol is warping the way that you think. It's literally changing the brain chemistry and changing the thought patterns in real time. And when you realize that that is the case, then it was easy for me to quit because it was like, okay, now this is the problem. So if I pick up the problem, I'm going to have all those problems again. It's not just a beer or a shot or whatever. It's everything that comes with it. And once we understand that, it changes things. Because I'm like, okay, everything that comes with it is what I'm drinking. So I'm not going to drink because I don't want everything that comes with it. And that made perfect sense to me in being able to quit.
Yeah, totally. And that goes along with one of the things that I did not do, which was, I did change my habit. When I went to the doctor, when I went to rehab, I changed the habit temporarily until I started drinking again. But I didn't change the mindset. When I went to the doctor and got that help, I got the medicine, I went to the meetings, but I didn't change that mindset of that alcohol has to be completely out of my life. And so I started drinking. When I went to rehab, I thought that my mindset had changed. But really, deep down, I was just playing the game, and I played it well. They asked me, "Do you have a game plan when you get out?" And, oh yeah, I got a game plan. I'm gonna go to meetings and I'm gonna do this and do that. And they're like, "Great, good, all right, that's a good start. Keep it up." and I got out and I did that, but I did not change that mindset. There was still a little piece of me that still thought that I could drink and drink in moderation. And Andrew and Ben had just both mentioned they tried putting notes on the fridge and it didn't work. And Ben agreed, yep, I did that too. And I'm sure many of us have done stuff like that, where we try these little tricks that are going to help. But our thought processes are so strong that they'll drive us back into drink. And I had to change that thought process. And part of that was starting to live this life that I don't have to run from, that I enjoy. When I got sober, I started doing things that I enjoyed doing. I wasn't physically able to do a lot right away, and mentally wasn't able to do a lot right away, but I slowly started doing these things. Like I like to hike, I like to walk my dog, I like to ride a bike. So I started to do those things as soon as I actually went to a doctor and got a physical and got the okay on that a few months after I got sober. And then I started doing that. And that's what I continue to do is I try to do things that I enjoy doing. Of course, through life, we have things we don't enjoy doing and we just have to do them. And, I do that stuff. Take care of the obligations. We have obligations in life. And many of us have difficult things that we have to deal with family and friends and work situations. And sometimes we have to deal with those. But those are separate from drinking. If I don't drink, I'm going to be able to work on those things. If I do drink, I'm not going to respond to those things correctly. I'm going to react in a negative way, and it's going to be a bad outcome, or at least it won't be the most positive outcome. So those are the kind of things that I had to really do to change that mindset.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to look at it is a mindset change from I can dabble in drinking to I'm not going to drink again. And, I think that's really important because that is what is going to keep us sober. Knowing that, hey, I'm not going to drink no matter what. And I think that is important, especially when going into like Christmas and holidays. How are you going to fight that? Well, if you go in there and you're like, well, maybe someone can talk me into drinking, or maybe I'll just have one, yeah, you're probably not going to do well. But if I go in there saying, hey, you know what, I don't drink anymore, and I don't need to explain why, I don't need to have an answer.
Right.
Family can ask all they want. I just don't drink anymore. Why do you have a problem with that? Why do you care? And I think that's important to look at. Or, hey, if you want, you could be like, because I'm an alcoholic, and that's why I'm not going to drink anymore. A lot of people have the stigma about being an alcoholic, but there's millions of people that deal with the same issue. And when we realize that it's not a big deal, it doesn't matter. Who cares? So you don't drink anymore. Big deal. Next. Right? There's lots of people that just don't drink because they don't want to. And when we start to understand this and we start to be like, okay, let's put this in perspective. The reason I care so much about not drinking is because I'm an alcoholic. Very important.
Right. And Andrew mentions that so he's over 150 days. Congratulations on that, Andrew. And going to have a quiet Christmas, avoiding gatherings this year. And I've seen some videos and read some things of people that have that in whatever their sobriety program is and stuff, and they talk about, they can go to parties where there's alcohol and this and that, and they don't have the desire to drink. Well, for me, that first year, the holidays or whatever it was, Super Bowl party, 4th of July, whatever it was, I did stay away from that stuff. I did not know what's going to trigger me. We are all different. We all have different triggers. And for me, just avoiding that stuff for the time being was important to me. And it did help me learn how to stay sober. Now, I'm a caterer, and there's always alcohol involved in catering, and I did have to go cater, a few months after I got sober, and there was alcohol everywhere. But when I did that, I had a game plan when I went in. Not just going in there going, I'm going to willpower and not drink at all, da 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 da. And I had a game plan going in, and for a lot of you, that may be the case for Christmas, is that you really don't have a choice but to go to a family gathering and stuff like that. And have a game plan going in. Drive yourself if it's not at your house. Take your own car so you can leave when you need to. Have a friend that knows you're sober and trying to fight it. not fight it, but trying to not drink, have them ready for your phone call or whatever. If you need to step outside or step in the bathroom and make that call and just say, hey, I'm having a tough time, and maybe they can help you and stuff like that. And I always, in fact, now when I go to gatherings where there's alcohol and stuff, I'll bring my own stuff. I'll bring a soda water of some sort or Italian soda, something that I like that's non-alcoholic. And I usually bring a 12 pack because once I break that out, these normal drinkers that just like to have one drink, they're going to enjoy it too. They're going to drink it too. So just little tricks like that will help you. And I don't have to avoid the parties anymore. I do pick and choose. If I realize something's just going to be an alcohol bash, I'm going to think twice about going. And maybe I'm not going to go. But there's little things that I have to do, and that's all part of that mindset. It's just being cognizant of the fact that if I do take a drink, it's back on. I'm going to start spiraling down again. And so that's what I have to keep in mind. It's not something that I have to dwell on every day or every minute of every day, but it's something that I do have to keep cognizant of. And so that's what I try to do.
Absolutely. Yep, and I think that's the main thing. Ben says, my trigger is life. Well, I think that the trigger isn't so much life as much as your perspective on what life is. When I was drinking, my idea of what life was is completely different than now. And we talk about this all the time on this channel, where we talk about getting a new life philosophy. What is it that you believe about life, and why is that your trigger? Well, if you think, oh, the government's bad, or everyone's out to get me, or whatever, then yeah, you're gonna have a hard time coping. But a simple change in your thought of, hey, there's certain things I can control, certain things I can't, and the mind is like a lens, and I get what I focus on. So if I go out there and I focus on why life is bad, my brain is going to find reasons why life is bad. If I go and say, hey, here's why life is good, I'm going to find reasons life is good. It's much like how you have people that are scared of lots of things, right? They're like, oh, crime is going up. Well, is it or is it not? I know we have TV that will show us crime in places we didn't even know existed 500 years ago. So maybe it's just we have more access to so much more information, right? And then you're like, oh, hey, there's this rare thing going around. And it's like, okay, well, how rare is it? Well, there's 19 people. Okay, so we better all go play the lottery because of our odds of getting that are worse than hitting the lottery, right? And we have to look at things in perspective and say, hey, wait a minute. I'm getting worried about things I either can't control or probably won't happen to me. It's like my mom. Back in California, my mom always had earthquake insurance. Terry and I lived in California for a combined lot of years. And, I don't think either of us had any damage from an earthquake at all. Ever. Now, why did my mom have that? What's that?
No, that's true. I was there at the Loma Prieta, the big earthquake. Yeah.
Yeah, we never had damage. And the amount of houses that got damaged from earthquakes was actually pretty small, right? And we look at that and we're like, okay, well, why would my mom go and get earthquake insurance then? I mean, she's paying money for something that her house has been around for a while and nothing's happened to it. And if something big enough happens, and I think the house is going to be the least of your worries. But at any rate, she had that because she was in the Alaska earthquake, which triggered her brain to be afraid of earthquakes because, yeah, let's face it, the Alaska one, that was one you probably needed some insurance for. But what happens is our mind is always looking for patterns, and it's always protecting ourselves from things that previously happened. Only the problem is it's not protecting you from alcohol. Alcohol is causing repetitive problems in your life, but for some reason, that doesn't get equated until we look at it and say, hey, wait a minute, if my trigger is life, then my solution is to look at life differently. My solution is to understand things differently and make a life I don't have to run from, make a life that I'm okay with, and realize that life is shifting and changing and things happen. And we need to submit to the fact that we can't control everything and we can't know everything, and we certainly don't know everything. And when we look at life, we're like, okay, how much do I know? 0.0000001% of like 1%? Yeah, that's probably a little generous. So there's a lot I don't know about. Is it possible that in all that info that I don't know about, there's something that says life doesn't have to be a trigger? Or I don't have to drink? That is possible. And that's when we start to broaden our view, right? Because we go through life with all these little things. These are my family, this is my work, this is where I go. And we have this little radius that our life is blocked into, and we get stuck in a rut. We're like, oh well, that guy doesn't like me, and I burn my bridges over there, can't get a loan at that bank. Well, there's 4 bazillion banks on planet Earth. I'm sure one will give you a loan, or this will happen, or that'll happen. And we start to realize that life is so much bigger than we think.
Yeah, definitely changing the patterns. That's what I had to do, and I continue to change my patterns and try to move in the right direction. And I think that's important for me. When I got sober, I had to change a lot right away. I remember in rehab, they said the only thing you have to change is everything, and I didn't exactly know what that meant, because I was like, "What? You mean I can't ride my bike or hike anymore?" Because I did do that when I was drinking. I just didn't do it very well. But I did. That's not what it meant. It meant change everything about the way you think and your patterns, what you do each day. Wake up and make the bed for no reason, just because it's something, I don't know, something that'll get you going in the right direction. And eat a good breakfast, things like that. Hit a meeting or something like that. For me, I had to do that. I had to start to do things that I enjoyed to do. I started to have to hang out with, or not have to. I started to hang out with other sober alcoholics instead of hanging out with my friends at the bar. That helped immensely, because they have the same stories. They have many of the solutions to the problems that I might have and the frustrations that I have, because they've been through it. And I just had to change the outside as well as the inside. And in that first year, there were big changes in my life, and there have continued to be changes. And I try not to do what Marcus was just saying, which is getting in that rut, in that little bubble in the world. It's kind of hard here because we just have 2 feet of snow on the ground and it's -8 degrees, but I can still get out. It's not bad. It's a beautiful place, and I can also reach out online to people. And that's the kind of things that I try to do, to keep those patterns changing. I also try to continue to learn things. Try to learn things about sobriety and learn things about just other stuff. Try not to focus on those news feeds so much. Those news feeds will frustrate you, and they'll frustrate me if I really start to dig into them. And they all say the same thing. You want your news, you get it done in about 20 minutes, and you're done for the day. Then turn it off and start to do things that are more enjoyable, and they're going to push you into a more positive direction. So, yeah. And Ben's asking, anyone else here living a double life? That's an important question, because I did. I had this life that I was on the outside trying to show that everything was okay. And on the inside, everything was falling apart. That was my drinking life. And now I don't have to have that life. And the key was to take that alcohol off the table and to change that perspective towards life. That's what our program does. Our program will help you change that perspective towards life and towards alcohol, and start to get you going in the right direction. But yeah. That's double life. I definitely had that going. Absolutely. Marcus, you did too, huh?
Yeah, and I think it's important to look at the fact that the things that we think are big are not big.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I'm living a double life. Does anyone really care? Nobody cared. I just had to go through and get sober. So I did. Then I lived a single life, the sober life. And we start to understand that, get in line. We're not that special. I'm just an average run-of-the-mill alcoholic. Nothing special. I went to rehab and I was like, I'm special. I'm not like Terry, and I'm not like these other people. I I do this and that and this and that. And it's like, well, get in line. You're an alcoholic. It's no different. Everyone's got problems. Everyone got issues. And what we need to do is start with acceptance. Accept that where we're at is where we're at. That's where we're at. Plain and simple. Now what? Now what am I going to do? And once we understand that, life starts to change.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, congratulations, White Mama, on 13 months sober. Yeah, we know there's feedback. We can't get it figured out today. Sorry about that. But yeah, Andrew, you hit a bottle of vodka last summer holiday. Just increased your anxiety looking back. Yeah, definitely. I think most of us have done that because we don't want. That was something I did. I hit it all the time because I didn't want people to realize how much I was drinking. Because what were they going to do if they found out? They were going to make me quit, and I didn't want to quit. I mean, it was just as simple as that. My mind was being ruled, and my life was being ruled by alcohol and my desire for it. And it was all that. It was just what I wanted, and that's what I acted on. And now I don't have to do that anymore.
Absolutely. And if you guys are interested in learning about how we got and stay sober, check out talksober.com. The link will pop up right down there. There it is. It looks like it's got a little weird effect on it because it blanked it out there. But there you go. Talksober.com. You can sign up, join our course. There's all kinds of PDFs, MP4s, MP3s, all kinds of stuff to help you get and stay sober. Starting at the beginning of next year, we are going to start having our weekly group members only calls in there. So if you want to be part of those, that's something you can check out as well.
Yes, indeed. Check it out.
All right. Anything else to add there?
We're putting out some more videos lately, a little bit more often than we have in the past. So check them out. I do a lot of them, and they're just little short videos. And yeah, there should be one coming out in a couple days. So keep checking back.
Cool deal, guys. Thanks for being here. Stay sober throughout the holidays, and we'll see you, I think, next week. We got one planned too, yeah?
Sure.
I believe so.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, guys. Go to talksober.com, and we'll see you next time.